Hi, I'm Grant Abbott. I'm a director of Transcend Health and also a serial entrepreneur. I'm very lucky today to have Dave Catcherdale, the founder of Transcend Health and also a plant medicine and blood sugar specialist. How are you today, Dave?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Grant. It's a beautiful day here in Thailand.
Oh, I know. It's funny though, you're in a wonderful environment where you would expect to be no stress. In fact, many people retire to Thailand or Cambodia or Bali or one of those amazing tropical climates and expect effectively to live a stress-free life. But effectively, that's not the case, is it?
Yeah, no, I don't think a stress-free life is possible, but I believe we can do a stress-reduced life. No matter where you are, stress is just part of modern day living.
And look, I know you're absolutely passionate about stress and the impact it has on the body, and also coming up with a range of amazing solutions, particularly ones that are plant and organic based. And more importantly, from my perspective, being an entrepreneur and having worked in the corporate field for 35 years now, this issue about stress, better health, and also having a successful life for an executive is absolutely key. And we see so many pre-burnout, burnout, and really executives, for me, males, who are suffering from huge amounts of anxiety and depression.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter, male or female. We live in a high pressure society. Environmental toxins, pollution, of course, the chemicals in our food. It's just this chemical soup that we live in. Unfortunately, has just triggered the survival instinct we have to just live in a state of stress that is higher than it should be. Of course, it's sad reality of just modern day living.
Now, I think one of the manifestations of stress or the symptoms, as I think that you call it, or as we all know it, at the end result is if we have a look at stress itself, it's like running a car 24/7 at 7,000 RPMs. For those people who don't know that, that's like over revving a car. At some point in time, it's going to run down or it's going to run out. And there'll be some symptoms. For a car, it could be a broken carburetor, the brakes, something is going to give away somewhere along the track. And we can, of course, go to the doctor and band-aid it, or, for example, we might be overweight. We go and do a really powerful exercise program, or we go on ketogenic diet. But again, these are just band-aid solutions. They're not getting right back at the key issue, which is stress. And the first secret, really, out of this whole presentation, from my perspective, is you don't know what you don't know. And I found that out a lot from David. In fact, I've been so blessed to meet Dave and seen such a huge turnaround in my health over the last 3 to 6 months that I invested, in fact, bought a majority stake in this Transcend Health, because I know that we're going to go out and change millions of executives, in fact, people all around the world. Now, Dave, give us a bit of your spin on some of the impacts that stress has and some of the manifestations that really people watching this may find that one or two or three of these manifestational symptoms might be happening to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all comes down to the emotional states of the life that we're living in, and of course our physical habits as well. So the combination of the two is something that is rarely connected to being the real core of our health. We think a lot of times overweight is our issue, or lethargy, or poor sleep, or whatever it is. And I've worked with thousands of clients all over the world. My personal history, we've had a lot of cancer in the family. My brother had cancer. My father passed away of cancer. I battled cancer myself. So stress is something that I've been, in the battlefield with firsthand. And with my clients that come to me sick or tired or trying to prevent illness and disease, this is all something where we need to look at the core issue instead of just treating one of the symptoms that stress, both emotional and physical, is causing in their lives. And I think that everybody can resonate with the relationship between what's going on in our mind and what's going on in our body when you really connect the two. And that's where we see that a lot of the problems we have on a day-to-day basis, or a lot of the feeling of unwell or dis-ease is all goes back to the root issue, which we're talking about today. And I think that's it's such a beautiful thing to be able to get out and reveal to people what the real cause is. And that's what I do on a daily basis here in Thailand and all around the world, consulting to detox and weight loss and stress management and diabetes reversal retreats and spas and hotels all around the world. This doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter where you're from. In modern day living, we all have issues that are related to the core issue of stress.
And I think it doesn't matter how much, the funny thing is, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how less money you have. In fact, it's really comes down to stress. I lived for a while in Vanuatu, going back around about 8 years ago, and it was noted as the happiest place on earth. And one of the reasons there is that the people on the outer islands, not so much Port Vila for those who've been there, which is, again, westernized part of the Nivan society. But if you go and have a look out on the outer islands, they have no sewage, they have no electricity, no TV, no telephones. They live in a very agrarian society. They sit each day, and you know what they do? They watch their yams grow, or they'll go fishing. And certainly they have absolutely no stress. Maybe the stress that they'll have is when they're going to have a wife or a child, or when the next chief is going to be born, or wherever. But it's amazing when you take people away from that society, there's no stress. They also live a lot longer life and a lot happier life as well, which I think is pretty important. Now, you've obviously worked, and we can see there from your resume, which is probably could go on for about 10 pages, but you've worked with CEOs, mid-level executives, celebrities over in Hollywood, and I know your brother's a very big celebrity trainer, and he's right on board with all of this, Olympic athletes. So it doesn't matter who it is, stress has an impact, whether it's self-induced, whether it's the environment or anywhere around that. Do you want to give a bit of a spin on that one?
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a great example. When I was mentioning earlier that stress is just a part of modern day living, and then you kind of took us back in time to Vanuatu, which I've never been there, but I have lived in Brazil before, right on the corner of the Amazon rainforest. And it was just like going back in time hundreds of years, where you didn't see the stressors of, sitting in traffic, waiting to go to work for hours, or, like a high pressure environment. You just don't see that. And what you also don't see is you don't see the epidemic of diabetes that we're having now. You don't see the cancer that we're getting at such a young age now. And you're not seeing all of these mysterious complications that are associated with modern day living. You just don't see those when you go back into the ancient cultures and the more simplistic way of life. But the reality is, here we are. We're living in these big cities. We're living in a time where we're glued to our iPhones, or we're constantly checking our emails, and we have electromagnetic frequency coming in from everywhere. We have pollutants and toxins in our food that we didn't used to have in our food supply. And so it's not like we can eliminate stress. We don't have to move to Tibet and become a monk and go on a pilgrimage through the Himalayas. We just have to. We need the tools, and we need to learn how to protect our bodies and our mind from the stresses that are inevitably going to come from this day and age, just living as a modern day human.
There you go. Number one, stress merchant here. These phones, quite amazing. If you listen to the news, get your YouTube videos. Just have a look at it at the moment, particularly over in the US. In fact, I would say all around the world, that with a new president over in the US who's using, he's using Twitter now to comment on everything. Everything is so now, here, now, and it creates stress for people because people don't know what's going on. And the old days where you listen to your grandparents, the good old days, in those days, they just listened to radios. Now we've got more information than ever been in the last 2 or 3 days. There's more information that's produced through our phones than have been produced up until 1970. And it's quite phenomenal about that. We're just getting bombarded with this information. And more often than not, we have to try and tune out. But the impossibility is to tune out because, as you said, David, we're in a modern day world. And I think that's a bit scary because we're now passing our habits on to the next generation. Can you believe it? They've just done a study. The most stressed out generation ever is the millennials, the people who were born around about the year 2000 and thereon. The stress that they face, through the phones, through modern living, is just impacting them quite amazingly. And I think we just can't get through that. But that stress itself, we can now move from, look, we're all stressed, but we need to have a solution, and we need to find out what happens to our body when we are stressed, whether it's driving to the car, we've had a cup of coffee, we're going to work, someone chews us out, we miss our train. What's going on there, Dave, in terms of stress? What's happening? What's the chemical reactions in our body?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And when I teach seminars, or when I'm leading and hosting diabetes reversal retreats, which is a word that kind of surprises a lot of people, diabetes reversal. And of course, when I talk about that, especially in men and women over 35 and approaching their 40s, this is when that chemical reaction that you're talking about, where we see that it's not only blood sugar and the food that we eat that is triggering these negative conditions such as diabetes. It's actually a chemical reaction, and the root of this reaction is stress. So one thing that's I really love to teach, because it's such an aha moment for a lot of people, is the hormone that controls our stress levels. Basically, it acts as a soothing mechanism, is also responsible for pulling sugars out of our system from not even a sugar source. So basically it takes proteins out of our liver and floods our bloodstream with sugar in response to what is our most primal instinct, which is our fight or flight response. So essentially what you were saying, the millennia generation being the most stressed, it's absolutely true, because there's so much pressure and there's so much information at their fingertips, and everything is so sped up. Everything is happening so fast. It's just so intense. And what that's doing is chemically, that's triggering our fight or flight response, which is our parasympathetic activation. And what that means essentially is that we're growing up, and we wake up from the moment that our alarm goes off. Yeah. Essentially, our primal instinct is triggered, where it feels like we're being attacked, where it's like the war is on, or we're being chased by some kind of predator. And the unfortunate reality is that we get stuck in this mode. And imagine a life where you're stuck in a mode where you are under attack, essentially. So you might not feel it always emotionally. We have a very powerful mind that could bring us into different moments of awareness, of course, but this survival instinct that we're triggering chemically is literally creating a reaction in the body that is releasing sugar into our bloodstream. It's fogging our memory, and it's clouding our judgment, and it's essentially just raising our inflammation and our blood sugar levels to dangerous levels, which leads to complications in health, including cancer and diabetes, and all other kinds of energy issues and performance issues. So it's a chemical reaction based on our most primal instinct, which is our survival mode. But we're not in danger anymore. We don't have to survive. We don't have to run away from the saber-toothed tiger. We don't need this much sugar in our bloodstream. It's just triggered now from modern day living.
Well, the saber-toothed tiger is just on just over our shoulder these days, or in front of us everywhere we look. There's tension, there's stress. We run into stressful people. And if you think, a lot of people will wake up, get the alarm clock, and already from that point on, we're really pushing hard the whole day through. And there's never enough time. We'd like to get this. And the funny thing is, like, my daughter loves to shop on the internet, but when she does, she wants things now. And I think that's the society is, we want everything now. We want everything to change now. And it's funny because now you've got a president over the US who's actually giving his mind, his thoughts now, and that creates stress for everyone else. So it's a really interesting point of view. And obviously, I've done a lot of studies, and I saw last year with myself personally that I become run down. My vision had started to blur, and I'd never had any problems with vision. I got double vision. I put on a huge amount of weight, a lot of bloating. I know it's okay for you. You're like celebrity trainer, but us normal people, us normal executives, we don't have, the opportunity to be brilliantly versed in that area. We focus in on our business, making sure cash flow is okay, looking after our staff. I mean, anyone who's out there who's a CEO or an executive or middle management, whatever, one of the biggest stresses in my life is looking, finding and dealing with staff. That in itself virtually can create diabetes or have heart problems. So these are the modern day issues that we face as executives. And again, if we're running at that 7,000 revs per minute, it's got to impact our blood sugar. It's got to impact our mood, our mental focus, our adrenal glands, thyroid glands. Go and have a look at LinkedIn. See how many executives have got depression. And that, to me, is absolutely crazy. But, when we have a look at all this chemistry, I think you've noted it down in the area that I've been doing a lot of research and all the papers you've been giving me. Again, I want to make sure that what I'm doing is absolutely perfect and it's right, and it's backed by case studies. And really the big kahuna for all of us, which I know you're going to look at, is cortisol, which is part of this fight or flight, or what most people would call adrenaline.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a very simple word, cortisol. It's tied to, it's also known as our stress hormone, but it has such a complex chemical reaction that essentially triggers our epinephrine, which combines to make our adrenaline, which we all know adrenaline is what gives us that kind of hyperactive
attitude.
Yeah, it kind of makes you, it puts you right up in the brain and takes you away from that awareness and puts you into a reactive mode, which is very helpful in certain dangerous situations, but it's certainly not helpful if you're an executive. I have a lot of clients that come to me and they say, Dave, I feel like I'm losing my edge. I feel like I can't focus, or, I don't have the ability to execute right now. And it's just, I'm always in this fog. And the reason why, and once you understand this, you can completely change your life. When you realize that what is holding you back from that clarity and that sharpness is your cortisol, is the fact that you've been triggered into this parasympathetic activation, this survival adrenaline junkie kind of mindset where you are not able to make more mindful, conscious decisions. It completely changes your life. So like you said, the big kahuna is absolutely cortisol, because at the root of your weight issues or the early onset of diabetes, or if you're trying to prevent cancer and just work on your well-being and your longevity, the root issue is your cortisol. This is what is going to be the regulatory hormone.
Here's the big thing, like the big kahuna, Dave said. I'm going to interrupt you because I've got obviously a lot of questions in this interview. But you told me that stress is equal to having like a big sugary donut.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's an interesting analogy, actually, is when I test my pre-diabetic's blood, or of course, I even test my blood every morning just to see what for example, a bad dream or a bad night of sleep can elevate your blood sugar. So the relationship between stress and blood sugars is so direct. And like you said, if you were to eat a donut and then test your blood sugar, like a really sugary, one of those donuts that you just crave when you're stressed, guess why? Of course, you crave that. It's that reaction on your blood sugar, eating that donut, would be equal to the stress you have when you have a deadline coming up, or you have, a team that's just not working for you properly, or people are not performing, or the big deal is about to go through and you're not sure if everything's in play. This is the same effect chemically on your blood sugar, even though it's only happening through emotions, as a sugary donut. So while controlling your diet is a major part of controlling diabetes, of course, and controlling your blood sugar and your energy levels, it's essential to also have something in our body that can protect us from the stresses, emotional, that is inevitably going to happen within our day.
Yeah, you'd rather have a donut, but again, as you were saying there, is that when we do get stressed, that desire to cover it with sugar or certainly alcohol, or alternatively coffee, all it's doing is actually just adding extra revs into the whole counter.
Yeah, exactly. That's just creating that endless cycle of sugar, stress, repeat. I mean, we can all relate to this, of course. When you're stressed, the first thing you think about is not broccoli, of course. That's We don't have an emotional attachment to
You
the
probably
vegetable
do.
because.
You probably
Oh
do.
yeah, actually, yeah.
Executives wouldn't. We're probably going out. We probably chew one of our staff out or one of our kids.
Well, we all have different coping mechanisms for stress, but emotionally, we're wired since birth to understand the link between being stressed, crying, screaming, and
Mm.
getting that immediate soothing relief of sugar, which unfortunately we've been slowly made addicts over the course of our life. Because I mean, I know even myself, I grew up in a healthy family, but when I was screaming and crying and wanted something, I got ice cream. I'll be honest, I got something sweet because that's what soothed me.
Mm.
It wouldn't have given me the same physiological effect to have a bowl of vegetables. It just wouldn't have done that. But the unfortunate reality is that every time you feed your stress reaction or soothe it with sugar, you're actually not soothing it. You're stressing yourself out even more. And I know we can all relate to that. I call it like the 2 to 4 p.m. danger zone. And this is when most people on a normal cycle have the most stress is just building up. They're just like a time bomb waiting to explode. And to avoid exploding, your body craves at this point two things: caffeine and sugar. And of
Yeah,
course, what happens?
the old Madison Avenue with Dr. Pepper, which is a pretty foul drink if you ask me. But their thing was 10, 2, and 4. So have a Dr. Pepper at 10, 2, and 4 to give you that extra energy. And by the way, it'll stuff up your adrenal glands and everything else at the same time. But not to worry.
Yeah.
On that blood sugar is, it wasn't until last year that I had my blood sugar tested and found I was at the high end of pre-diabetes. And obviously I used a lot of the Transcend products and that's dropped it way, way, way down. And I've seen amazing changes in my clarity of thinking, my body shape. I've lost 40 pounds in the last 2 months. It's unbelievable. But from that is I now test my blood sugar every day. And it's quite phenomenal that all my friends, and I've been asking my family, no one tests their blood sugar. In fact, it's strange because I come from Australia. Can you believe it? That in order to test your blood sugar or get what we call a glycometer, you in fact need to generally go to a doctor and get a prescription. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate reality is that what you just said there is basically you only get to test your blood when it's already too late, when you already have diabetes and when you've already been clinically diagnosed. And I mean, that it's the opposite of preventative health. It's like, okay, well, it's too late now. Now you have to test your blood just to stay alive. And that's really
that's scary. And look, I'm learning everything about it. What happens after exercise? It seems to go down. What happens when I wake up in the morning versus, as you said, with a bad dream, it spikes. When I'm fasting, what happens when I eat certain foods? It's a great opportunity for all of us to understand our blood chemistry, how stress, how the food we eat, how the exercise, how when even people communicate with us, what is happening through our whole system. And it's very hard to go and test my adrenals or whatever, but it seems as though this blood sugar level is a good way of actually testing the gauge of where you are in terms of your whole body chemistry. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I would say as far as like the most simplistic snapshot that you can take for your internal health, I would recommend to all my clients is know your blood sugar, because without that, even if you tested your thyroid hormone or if you're tested any one of your hormonal functions, on any given day, it could be fluctuating up and down. You could have tested it at a certain time where it just gives you a very small peek into what could be going on. But when you test your blood sugar and you get you kind of have a dialogue where you're routinely checking, maybe let's say every morning for a week, and you see the variables and you see what changes your blood sugar depending on what has happened in your life. It's one of the most amazing things to do and the most simple things to do to really get a control on your lifestyle. And just from knowing a simple number that your blood reading gives you, if it's over a certain number, you need to step back and say, okay, whoa, I have too much stress in my life. I need a solution.
Look, it'd be interesting. In fact, I've started doing it with my teenage daughters, but it'd be interesting to see what the impact is on children because, as you said, they've got a lot of stress in their life, particularly. Can you believe it? I don't know what it's like over in the US or elsewhere, but in Australia, people graduate from children graduate from kindergarten, which is like preschool. I mean, they have a graduation ceremony. And they've got to do a talk. What sort of stress? Imagine that. The biggest fear of most people is public speaking.
Yeah.
Kids are like 3 or 4 who have to get up and get in this stressful environment. It's a crazy thing that we're doing to our children.
Yeah, no,
let them go outside and play.
No, I was just going to say that's a whole other conversation. The modern schooling system, I mean, that's a whole added pressure that I think we don't need. There's a couple of countries right now that are pioneering the way in alternative education. Is really beautiful, but yeah, I mean, having to public speak and having that pressure on you, graduating from kindergarten, wow.
At age 4, I know. And can you imagine the children who sit in front of like World of Warcraft or Minecraft or whatever, the stress of that all the time. It'd be interesting to see if you had a blood sugar test before and also after the event as well.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. As most of my clients are, men and women aged that I would say 35 plus, when you get into that executive, those years where stress could be the difference between life and death, that's also where you get to be the biggest impact and the biggest, I guess you could say, hero to your children and be the best leader and guide for them by understanding your own blood sugar. And then that will change, that will wire your brain differently to have that trickle down to your children and keep them healthy and safe as well.
Now, do you want to just go in a couple of things, because I'm still learning. I hear the words and sometimes it's like you hear the medical terms and they just sort of gloss over. Like I'm a lawyer by trade, and I do a lot in financial services and retirement planning and laws around that. If I start quoting sections, people just glaze over them, they drop down. But can you give a bit of a simple explanation for me, and I'm sure plenty of people out there, because particularly if we're going down the blood sugar, what's the difference, and what's hypoglycemia and what is hyperglycemia?
Yeah, I mean, these are two ends of the blood sugar spectrum. So hypoglycemia basically means that you don't have enough sugar in the bloodstream. So it could be dangerous both ways. So essentially hypoglycemia, not having enough sugar in your blood, and hyperglycemia, having too much sugar in your blood. These are actually both deadly. And that's the interesting thing. And of course, now taking it back, not talking about the deadly ranges, but between the hypo and the hyper, there is a sweet spot. And then anything outside the sweet spot is areas where there could be, I guess you can say, complications. So if you're hypoglycemic, not enough sugar in the blood, it's not a good thing. It sounds, a lot of people think blood sugar, okay, you want that low. Yeah, you want that in a sweet spot, but you don't want that too low. For example, I see a lot of my clients with thyroid disorders, especially women age 40 plus, and men who have really high levels of stress and don't have a good outlet for it. Maybe don't exercise frequently enough, or really high pressure environment, and more predisposed to cholesterol issues or high blood pressure. Then I'll actually see a hypoglycemia where there's not enough sugar in the blood because their insulin is not working properly. So their natural response to clearing sugar out of the blood is not even effective. So it's basically insulin resistance, which is a precursor to diabetes, which is very dangerous.
I can give you a bit of a story around that. You can tell me what happened, which is, I think, is interesting. Obviously, Christmas is was around the corner recently, and we tend to drink too much at Christmas. I was out at a Christmas function. I just recently sold one of my businesses, and I was out with Ashley, my girlfriend, and we were having a good time, as you would, and had a few drinks. I was on a low-carb diet, so I didn't have much sugar in my system. I was monitoring that, had some oysters, a couple of prawns, really not much else. And, of course, to celebrate the sale of the business, we had some champagnes and we had some reds. And then we kicked on a little bit later. And it was funny because we were in a loft apartment down in Woolloomooloo. It's right on the water there in Sydney. And Ashley was sitting up in the bed and she said, well, suddenly you were talking and next minute, bang, you hit the ground. And it was like, well, and it's happened a couple of times before. And I thought, oh, my God, there's something wrong with me. I'm just turning absolutely phenomenally drunk. But I still felt in control of my mind, but I virtually blacked out. And that seems to me as though, obviously, from what I've read, I've gone into a coma from low blood sugar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not laughing at that particular. I'm
Well,
just kind of. I have the vision. I have the
she was
vision in
laughing
my
because
mind.
I was drunk. It's not, well, no. I said I
No,
could
it's
have
just
died because
the
people
way
have
you tell
died.
the story. You painted a really nice picture for me. But no, really, what you were experiencing was hypoglycemia.
Yeah,
Once the cocktail of stress and
alcohol.
alcohol is wow. I mean, that mix chemically will just completely change the way that your body processes
Mm,
energy. And of course, sugar is our prime source of energy under most metabolic conditions.
mm,
And so your insulin, your body's first
mm.
role during that environment was take the alcohol out of the liver, so detoxify the alcohol. So you couldn't efficiently do both. You couldn't remove the sugar from the blood and detoxify from the alcohol too. So it just resulted in this crash scenario. And yeah, that could be very dangerous. Just like a diabetic who doesn't take their insulin and accumulates too much sugar in the blood could go into what's called a diabetic coma.
Yeah.
You are experiencing the other range of that
But
spectrum. So
I
yeah,
know.
hyper. Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's
very
quite
dangerous.
amazing. I mean, you think of all of us being smart executives, smart entrepreneurs. We've been to university. You think you know everything, and really at the end, it's you don't know what you don't know, and it's until you find out these things, you're going, well, hold on, it's not me. I know lots of people who fall into the same trap. In fact, I'm sure many people listening to this
Absolutely.
going, oh God, I remember doing that because it's not often that people, certainly not in Australia, will just say, oh, I'll just stop at one wine because I've been told it's good for me. Generally, it's like, well, I'll stop when something happens. So it's an interesting situation. And I think one of the area, this blood sugar, as I said, the blood sugar doesn't test all the chemistry, but as you said, it gives us a really good guide of where we are. And if we can keep on top of that, at least we know what's impacting us when stress is coming on and what to do about that. Of course, we're going to come to a solution, but what we want to do is through Transcend Health, we've got some Transcend blood sugar monitors. Now, for those countries that can actually receive that, we'd like to give that as a gift to you. All you have to do is just pay for postage and handling. Now, for all of you anyway, as I said, I bought into this company. I mean, God, if you lose 40 pounds, your eyesight gets better, you're de-stressing and all that, you'd be crazy not to get involved in this company. So one of the things there is that Dave, for the last 18 months, in fact, has been just working like solidly, building resources, building tools, building a whole encyclopedia. He's written like 4 or 5 books. One of the ones that we want to give to you, just for being on this presentation, is the 3 essentials to looking great and living better. Really, to me, it's the stress-free cortisol book. But you just want to give it a bit of background of what people are going to find in this amazing book that's doctor approved and certified, that you've actually drafted up with your brother, big celebrity trainer. He actually looks a bit bigger than you. Is that right? Or
Oh, you have to bring that up, don't you? Yeah. We call him the mutant. He took the best genetics of both of my parents and fused them into one superhuman body. But no, he's a great guy and just a head
well,
full of.
he's done pretty well because he's the one who had cancer when he was young.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, every man in my immediate family has been hit with cancer. Phil personally battled leukemia from age 3 to age 9. He had a long fight with leukemia, and finally he's a massive success story. A big vegetarian advocate and a natural physique model, and he really helps his clients through the holistic path. And he's huge on blood sugar too, because him and I and thousands of other elite trainers out there have discovered that when we want to help our clients, when we're on this mission to allow ourselves and our clients to live better, to look better, of course, the solution, it's always the same thing. It's you're going around in circles if you're just trying to do more ab crunches and cut more calories. That's just not the solution. And so
sorry to butt in there. I mean, this is supposed to be an interview dialogue, but look, I've had personal trainers for like about 10, 15, 20 years, in fact. I believe it or not, before I did law, I was a phys ed teacher, if you can believe that. That's crazy. But so that thirst of knowledge. But it certainly would be great for any trainers out there, and you've got executive clients who've got this thirst for information. being able to give them the information to help them with the stress, understand their blood sugar, their cortisol, what's going on in their situation, that really takes you apart from the rest of the trainers out there who, as David said, are really there just to do abs. And let's face it, I can watch something on YouTube and do a spin class on YouTube or abs or whatever. I'm still it's like that 7,000, I'm fixing up the carburetor. I'm not making sure the car is going at an optimal state.
Exactly. Yeah. No. In fact, what I wrote my first book about was to train trainers to give them the information to pass on to their clients, that we need to go to the root as responsible trainers, nutritionists. I'm a functional diagnostician now. So as somebody who is trusted with a client's health and well-being, it is our duty to really go to the root of the issue, which always comes down to stress levels, blood sugar, and of course, mindset, physical activity, and the way that we're taking care of our body on the outside and our mind on the inside. And so this 3 Essentials book is essentially, it's a distilled version of my most valuable lessons that I can teach to either a client or a trainer. So how to control your insulin hormone, how to, through diet, through little tricks that we've come up with along the way. For myself, working in the medical industry, I've worked alongside some of the most brilliant doctors in the UCLA Medical Center and in Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. And I got to learn all of these incredible tricks along my path. I've been doing this for 16 years now. And so in this 3 Essentials book is just the best of the best. I go right to the point. Here's how to control your cortisol. Here's what I've used with my clients to completely revolutionize their health, change their bodies, lose their weight, and shift their metabolism to the point where they're living a completely different life. And there's also a great recipe book at the end, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, food can get boring. And when it comes to eating right while you're on the go, it's really important to love what you're eating. You don't have to eat like a squirrel. You don't have to just pack a bag of nuts and seeds wherever you go. There are secrets to making it much more enjoyable, and it's all here in the book.
So make sure that you send in your details so that we can give you that book straight away, and you can get moving in on this. Again, this presentation is not just it's the start of a whole process. Listen to it again, because there's a lot of valuable hacks and tips. Learn from someone like myself who's been running that, having a number of businesses and all around the world who've been running that car at 7,000 revs per minute for like 20 or 30 years, and how that can suddenly blow up on you. But again, it's not going to the trainer and getting fit. It's not going on a low-carb diet. They're all important, but they're part of the entire universe. And it's really getting back to that managing your stress and knowing that stress creates this adrenaline urge, this cortisol, that your body just can't run like that. So the keys, so let's go through some of the keys to managing stress. And I'll just go through my position. I was, again, with my girlfriend Ashley, we're going into the Australian Rules Grand Final, which you'd have no idea about, being a Canadian. That's probably going to put everyone off you anyway, Dave. But being a Canadian, we have a thing called Australian Rules, where people run around us. My side has been in the Grand Final or the finals for a long time, or the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, I got to a stage where I couldn't even see what was going on in the whole grand final, because my eyes I virtually had double vision. I went and saw a neuro-ophthalmologist, and anyway, they put me on some pretty heavy corticosteroids at 70 milligrams for around about 2 or 3 months. Now, I blew up like a puffer fish. I put on so much weight. The crazy thing is, I then had to have all these other tablets to get rid of the side effects of the corticosteroids, and I had to have other tablets to get rid of the side effects of this. So that a lot of the pill culture, which seems to be endemic in the doctors, and I'm not saying anything about doctors, because before I was a phys ed teacher, I actually did do medical studies for like a year, which is crazy. But I'm not saying anything about the pill culture, but it does seem to be that this stuff that's made in laboratories, and of course they spend a lot of money in it, it has a lot of side effects and doesn't necessarily get to the actual cause, because what it's doing is it's like putting in a new carburetor or putting in this or that. It's not treating the underlying issue, which is the stress and the cortisol.
Yeah, well, I mean that's an interesting point. It's the thing with pharmaceuticals is modern science is a beautiful thing. You know, it saved a lot of it saved my brother's life. Part of it saved my life, but and it saves millions of lives around the world. However, it's not always the most sustainable application, and it's not always the most suitable solution for somebody's issue. For example, a lot of the times the pharmaceuticals will just treat one of the symptoms, but not resolve the root cause of why that symptom is even happening. And this is where I am so passionate about. This is my mission. This is my this is what I do in my life to teach and educate, is allowing people to understand and feel through Transcend now the power of plants. Now, I've been doing this, like I said, for 16 years, but for 10 years, I've been a plant medicine specialist, where I was just diving deep into the science of phytoscience, basically, which is plant-based science, and how different molecules and different medicinal items and compounds within a plant can be completely transformational in a healing way on a level that isn't possible to achieve through drugs made by the pharmaceuticals, because nature, as we were created in a very specific divine way, nature was as well, and the communication between something natural and our natural body is much more harmonious. And in that, it could go, or there exists in this world plants, specifically something called adaptogens, which are just loaded with phytonutrients and different chemical compounds that have the ability to do incredible things. And one of the most powerful things that they do is help protect our body against stress, and also help our body to eliminate stress through a variety of pathways. So I'm a huge plant healing advocate. I've seen it with myself. I cured testicular cancer at age 23 using very specific ketogenic, sugar-free diets for 2 years, and using plant medicines. All the same ingredients that I put into Courtesan and Detox, our 2 products, into Transcend, was everything that I've used for over a decade with thousands of clients over the years. And it's not just these ingredients that are new. Of course, these have been used in the ancient times. The Romans used it, the Egyptians used it in Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. It's been around forever. It's just been widely ignored because we are a society obsessed with, like you said, everything now. And plants work very fast. But the most important thing is that they work sustainably. So you just have to allow them to go into the body and do their thing, and just absolutely magical, transformational things happen when you feel the power of plants.
Look, I know, and look, in the past, I've taken supplements forever, whether it's an antioxidant or vitamin B or this. We seem to, again, taking a lot of these specific vitamins. You know, I do this for this for that for stress, this for this. And I'm taking a whole lot of pills, which at the end of the day gets a bit laborious, and particularly because I travel a lot, being an executive, that it's hard to carry all this. In fact, I need a separate case to carry all this stuff around with me. The difference between that vitamin technology that we've grown up and been used to, and adaptogens. Can you give us a bit of an idea? Because it's a new term for me, and certainly it's a new term for everyone. Can you explain, what it is simply?
Yeah, again, when I travel and consult to different detox and health resorts, and where people go who are just brutally committed to making a transformation in their life, teaching about adaptogens is one of the most powerful things that I can do as far as giving value to my guests and my customers and my clients, because this, knowing what an adaptogen does, could absolutely transform your life. And essentially, an adaptogen plant, there's dozens known in the world, and so ginseng, for example, is one that is very well known, but it's not nearly as powerful as some of the ones that have been discovered more, I can't say more recently, but have been used medicinally more recently with great success. Things like ashwagandha and rhodiola.
Maybe just go through the list we've got up on our screen there, Dave, and explain it to me and explain to everyone each of these separate ones, because there's a few I don't know about. Then there's a few freaky ones in there. Look, I've heard a lot about turmeric, But again, do you put extra turmeric on your, is a bit of a brushing of turmeric in your smoothie okay? Or like green tea, I'll go green teas, but
So,
go through each of them maybe and what they do and the amounts you really need to make it, you make a significant difference to us.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this list here is not all adaptogens. So, for example, dandelion. A lot of people know dandelion as a pesky yellow weed, which just pops up in your lawn in the spring and summertime. But for thousands of years, dandelion has been used, both the root and the flower, as a healing herb to bring down blood sugar, to improve cholesterol, to improve digestion, and with our product specifically, we use a very powerful extract of the root, which is specifically good for your blood sugar and for your kidney health, which is why I added it to our formula in the perfect dose, which is clinically proven to help prevent diabetes and to reverse the negative effects that diabetes can cause on the kidney. So ashwagandha, going down the list, is absolutely brilliant. It's an Ayurvedic herb. It's been used for thousands of years in India, and it's known as like the elixir of all. It's kind of like a cure-all for everybody. Benefits from ashwagandha, essentially. It doesn't matter if you're a child or an executive over 40, but for people in their old, let's say you're getting 30, 35 plus, your hormones are starting to slow down, you're starting to get more inflammation, too much stress. Ashwagandha has this incredible ability to balance that all out and bring down all of the stress and process it out of your body. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's very similar with rhodiola as well, right below. Rhodiola is known as Siberian ginseng, or the Arctic roots, or the golden flower. Very beautiful and kind of hard to find, hard to source the really good stuff. Ours comes from Siberia itself. And rhodiola is known as an energizing relaxant. It's so interesting. So for people who have energy issues like lethargy, for example, again, by definition, an adaptogen is something that adapts. So if you are too stressed and that's causing you to be lethargic and just tired, well, rhodiola can boost that up. So it energizes you while bringing down your stress. So theoretically, or technically, it energizes you and calms you down at the same time. It's beautiful.
Certainly, I know. Just going back, I know that like last year when I was diagnosed. In fact, funny thing is, as soon as you're diagnosed by the doctor saying, "Well, hold on, we better go and do an MRI scan because you might have brain cancer. We might have to have surgery this week." It's like, as soon as that is, high stress levels blows you away, and next minute you've got this, you've got that. So you're full on stressed. But I did know then at that point in time, I was probably having maybe 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, and it's very interrupted sleep. But since I've been on the Transcend, the Essential package, that I've been sleeping easily 8 to 9 to 10 hours a night, and feeling, when I wake up in the morning, feeling really relaxed, considering, what I'm going to do today. And then just everything seems to be taken in the stride. Is that primarily rhodiola that would be doing that?
Good question.
I mean, everything to all actually comes as a integrated pack.
Yeah. Okay. So it's all about the blend. Like what makes Transcend special is that after decades of trying different dosages of these same exact plants, and of course different ones as well, the reason why I combined them the way I combine them is because, just like you said, most of my clients around the world, especially executives, let's say 35 plus, suffer from poor sleep habits, or even if they're sleeping, let's say 7 hours, which technically should be enough, that's not quality sleep. It's not truly recoverable sleep. So while I wouldn't say that rhodiola is the reason why you were sleeping, I would actually go down the list and look at holy basil and lemon balm. So holy basil and lemon balm, when combined, so holy basil is a very powerful adaptogen. It's a form of basil, but very different kind of basil. Where's
it from? Because I know, obviously, when you're having a look at that, you're thinking, obviously you've come up with a Transcend solution, but for me I can't go out and get all this stuff anywhere, really, even to a health shop. But where's holy basil from, and how does it work? I mean, obviously you can get it in China, or you can get it in, I know you've spent a bit of time on Amazon, but where do you actually source it, and how do you know it's the best?
Well, so that's a great question. Actually, what you were saying is you actually can get all of these ingredients out there, but if you tried, and which I used to do, you'd spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and you'd never get the right potency that you get from why I combine Transcend. So basically, I just made it simple. I took all of the best, and put it into one formula, or I should say, two formulas. And Holy Basil, just specifically on that, what makes it so special is it's typically grown in India. And there are some places in the north of India, in the beautiful, pristine mountains, which is where we sourced ours from, and very low toxic, like no toxicity, very low pollution, there's not many people that live there up in the mountains. At the higher elevation, you get the best phyto micronutrients from the plants. And so Holy Basil specifically is clinically used to reduce stress, of course. It's a stress reliever, but it also directly brings down your blood sugar or optimizes your blood sugar. So, again, the power of adaptogens, I get so excited about it, because if someone is hypoglycemic and doesn't have enough sugar in their blood, it's in a dangerous zone, Holy Basil can actually bring that up to healthier levels. And the same person, if they're suffering, or a different person even, if they're suffering from hyperglycemia, too much sugar in the blood, taking Holy Basil will bring it down to the optimal level. So it's really nature's ultimate balancing herb. And it's just absolutely incredible to watch the results of somebody taking Holy Basil mixed with ashwagandha and rhodiola and lemon balm together as we've combined it. And when you have this stack, it just gives your body exactly what it needs to soothe, to balance, and to regulate. It's just fantastic.
And I think if we have a look at it, for example, there's a lot of talk around turmeric at the moment, which talks about inflammation. But again, inflammation is just, I mean, if you're stressed, of course you're going to get inflamed somewhere. It just makes sense.
Yeah,
you go back to the root cause, which is the cortisol, the adrenaline, the stress. So like the benefits, if we got all those adaptogens, that whole stack there, seems to me, obviously, I mean, you don't talk about it, but I can tell you now, if you had a look at me now, and later on webinars, certainly for all you executives out there, if you want to get a good refresh, a really good detox, and I'm not a big person at detoxing, I'm thinking if you want to get a really good refresh and see your skin glow compared to what it is, really these products just, that they get inside the cells. That's the whole thing about adaptogens, and they release all this new energy, this new life. And that's important, because if you have a look at the skin, I think that's replaced every like 6 or 7 weeks, so that our skin, is continually dropping off, and then it's being replaced. So if we can get our cellular level, our chemistry right, then we're going to be adapting to the environment. We're going to be creating a brand new healthy look, and we can stop or modify the aging process, which we're all fearful about, and more importantly, reverse it. And I'm not talking particularly for the executives out there, and there's a lot of studies, and we will go into that later on. I'll get our little scientist here later on in another webinar. But if you have a look at all the studies between cortisol and dementia and Alzheimer's, there's a really strong link there, and that stress. And I've seen my father, who was an extremely stressed executive, a CEO of a very large multinational insurance company, who had his first stroke when he was 61. He's had many heart attacks, still alive at 83, but effectively he's in really big, deep stages of dementia. And I think that's really important for all of us because of that stress. And really, when we're working a lot with our mind, as we do as entrepreneurs or executives or anyone, that has an impact. We don't want to be in that position of spending the last 5 to 10 years of our life in a mental vegetable state in some nursing home.
God, no. Well, I mean, what you said was, you sounded like the scientist there. You hit all the right points when you said cellular level.
It's because they have an impact on me. I can see if I don't change now, what is going to happen, and that fires me up, because I've already I've had the big awakening. Now I want to learn more and more about it. I don't want to be in those people. I don't know what I don't know. I want to know what I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You want to be blood sugar smart, and you want to be cortisol smart, and really understand its physiological effects on the whole mind and body connection, which you clearly do very well. But what you said about a cellular level, that's so important. And the skin, or our skin, is the biggest organ in our body. And so it just shows detox. One of our products is, even though it has the word detox in it, what it really is revitalizing, like giving the vitality back to you. It's also known as anti-aging. Of course, it's literally slowing down or stopping the aging process by giving your cells everything they need to thrive. Not just regenerate and not just and be healthy, but really thrive. And that will allow you to replenish cells at an accelerated rate. And cells, of course, are found in every part of our body. And so our liver starts to function better, our kidneys function better, our pancreas, everything just starts to become optimized. And that's one of the most beautiful power of adaptogens, and specifically the two products from Transcend combined is it's the ultimate stack and combination for cellular health, and that comes at, of course, the main focus is blood sugar and stress management, but the byproduct of that, the side effect of nature is better cellular health. We're not creating anything that's going to cause a negative reaction in the body. We're actually causing the cells to get everything they need and to really just be thriving.
I think beautiful. From a scientific perspective, people have to understand that your liver is regenerated, your heart's regenerated, every 6 weeks or every 2 or 3 months, so that we can it's very hard to change our mental focus because stress is stress. And I do a lot of meditation. In fact, I've recorded a lot of meditations that help stress and, deplane you and get you down, but you've got to get at that cellular level. And I've even seen for myself in such a quick change, quite apart from losing a lot of weight, but that before I was extremely breathless just walking up a few flights of stairs. Now my limit, I like, after I've been talking to you, do a lot of high intensity interval training, but now I started off like doing 10 minutes, I'd be like puff. Now I'm up around about, doing a good 35, 40 minutes of high intensity where I'd be stopping, let my heart rate go down, and then for 3 or 4 minutes I'd be smashing it really hard. Yeah. So that, I'd have 35 minutes of that, and I'd be burning probably about 650 to 700 calories. So it shows you how intense that I could compare what I am. And I'm probably sure that all the Olympic athletes that you provide these products for, and there's a whole range of them, it enables them to push harder, go a lot longer, and more importantly, recover a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, our Olympic athletes, they're shocked at the results of what is happening from taking Transcend, and because they, of course, as professional athletes, they understand the relationship between inflammation and their sport. But once they factor in cortisol, we had a guy, Greg Sutea, he just ran 140 miles in 24 hours, and he just ran it straight. He did not have to, no team member, no relay, 140 miles.
I don't think I'll be able to drive that far without getting bored.
No, I was shocked when he wrote me the email to thank us for Transcend, for Cortizen, and for the products. He's just like, I couldn't believe it. I ran 140 miles, and then the next weekend I ran another 100-mile ultra marathon, and usually he needs months to recover. We have people who are running. We have one famous guy who ran 50 Ironmans in 50 days in 50 states. It's just incredible. Yeah, right. I know that those are real numbers. It's incredible and again, it goes back to the cells. Is when you are regenerating, when you are revitalizing from the inside at a cellular level, everything changes. The way you think your body is reacting and performing right now, it's not the way it has to be. Things could change so fast once you get the right dose of plant medicine in your body, which is exactly what we designed Transcend for.
And look, I think it's the same sort of thing, is that all of us in business in one way, shape or another, and even I know when I get youngsters in the business, they get so stressed because we virtually are running marathons every day when we're in business. And it'd be great to say, well, it's 5 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, let's stop business. But it's just going through your mind all the time. How many people like me, you wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock. Obviously I don't anymore, but you think about something in business and next minute your mind goes bang and you're awake for the next 2 to 3 hours thinking about stuff. You finally get to sleep, you think, and then for those of you who got young kids, the kids are knocking on your door, and before you know it, the next day goes to the next one, and you just got this horrible groundhog thing that's happening all the time. The only way to get out of it is with energy drinks, yuck, or alternatively having really strong coffee. And both of those have a complete cellular impact. You know, they drive your energy. So you end up, if you have a look at a good stress-free life, your brain waves to go like that. Have coffee and see someone who's stressed, it goes like that. And that's, as soon as you go like that, that's not good for your cells anywhere in your system.
Right. And that's where, see, now personally, I'm a coffee drinker and I'm a coffee drinker. I love my black coffee, no sugar, no milk. And that's not something I'm going to give up. So I, again, almost created Transcend as a solution for myself too, because I knew that I needed a solution for the potential negative impact that coffee every day could have on my body. And having coffee and our product Cortizen is actually kind of like a sneaky biohack. It's like a way around not having to experience the negative cortisol spike. So little dirty secret there is coffee can become a healthy addition to your day as long as you have the plant protection that we've created. So that's what I use, and I swear by it.
So we've got the detox sticks and the Cortizen there, which is our essentials package. Really, you can't do one without the other. It doesn't make any sense. For me, the detox sticks, I have it in the morning. So I'll just go back then. I have the detox sticks in the morning, and effectively they get me up and running. They keep me relaxed. Do you want to give a bit of an idea of how people should have the Cortizen?
Yeah, Cortizen is slightly individual. Now, we have thousands of customers around the world who are experiencing dramatically improved sleep from Cortizen. And so for my clients, I design Cortizen for people who have too much stress, which relates and results in poor sleep patterns. So it's up to everybody. Everybody's going to react differently, but I find amazing sleep. And I know my wife finds amazing sleep from Cortizen. Thousands of other clients find amazing sleep from Cortizen. So in that case, if sleep is your issue, taking a dose before bed is your best option. This is also when our hormones overnight, it's their most important job to take this moment of relaxation and to really reproduce and to produce hormones at a efficient rate. And
it's amazing. Yeah, Cortizen knocks me out. Knocks me out. I can tell you, particularly for all of you who are bloated, and let's face it, we're coming in with a program called Business Bellies at some stage, but all of those, if you've got a bit of a business belly, the detox sticks, having that really starts to change your bloat really quickly. And that's obviously is that the dandelion and the artichoke that really cleanses your liver and your kidneys as well.
Exactly. Yeah, these are the ingredients. The dandelion and the artichoke really bring down cholesterol. They improve your cholesterol numbers, which is dramatic for improving your whole entire hormonal system. So the 1-2 combination of the Cortizen and the detox sticks together, it just gives your body everything it needs to perform at its absolute best from the inside. And and we are Olympic certified as well. So I see right here, I'm just so proud of this formula because it took me so many years to make it. I'm a perfectionist. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit of a control freak and a perfectionist. And I tried to make this formula.
Believe me, guys, as chairman of the business, he's a pain. But anyway, I'd rather have something perfect. And that's pretty important because people can build vitamins. In fact, there's been a lot of studies on people saying, look, in the vitamins, the stuff that's actually supposed to be in there is not there at all. And it's important that you are getting the best, but also the highest potency as well.
Yeah. Well, this is exactly what motivated me to start my own company when I started Transcend, is that my clients were taking products and they just were not working. And they were products that were clearly underdosed because I tried them too, and it wasn't doing anything for me. And no matter what it said on the bottle, there's no proof that that's exactly what's in the formula. And so I went through great lengths because of my clients who are Olympic athletes, we need to test everything, of course. And I wanted to make sure everything was just perfect. So we sourced all of our products from either wild or organic plants, which is exceptional and very difficult to do. And then we passed the highest Olympic standard certification possible. So we are proven free of banned substances, no heavy metals, no traces of gluten, 100% vegan friendly, and our packaging is biodegradable. In fact, the plastic that you see on the outside is not even plastic, it's vegetable cellulose. It's made from celery actually, and different skins and different fibers of vegetables. So, I'm a huge vegan advocate as well, even though, my diet includes eggs now, but just the basis of respecting the planet as much as possible and putting all of my core values.
You're not listening. No, nothing wrong. I think the vegan is fantastic. I went vegan for about 2 or 3 weeks. It bored the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So sorry about that, but I don't mind my steaks and my sausages and my chicken and all of that sort of stuff.
No, of course.
There's knowing what you don't know, again, to make sure you're having organic. They're not pumped full of hormones.
That's the point.
Going back on this, the Transcend stuff is, before I was having antioxidants, I was having a very famous greens drink. I was having magnesium. I was having potassium, had some salts. I had all of these things. It was costing me probably around about maybe $400 or $500 a month just to try and get that. And when I was diagnosed, and I'd probably even go harder for it. But obviously, now that's all been replaced by these two quite simple products.
Yeah, no, exactly. Again, when you're taking a lot of these powders and these other products that are just maybe going to help some of the symptoms, but they're not going to go to the root of the issue. Again, that's what we consolidated with Transcend. It's just it's the ultimate combo if we're going to the root of the issues. And our Olympic standard certification and our 100% potency and purity report is just something that I'm very excited about and just so proud of.
Look, and I think, as I said, we want to get this message spread far and wide. We've got that Essentials Living book. So everyone who's been on this presentation can access that directly. So it's important to send that on. We'd also like to give as a special gift a blood sugar monitor, something to check your blood balance all the time, to be like us, and really have some good time to find out when it's stressed and all of that stuff, provided, of course, that your country allows you to have them. So that's, again, another gift for us, but you just have to pay the postage and handling. The other one is a 1 month supply of detox sticks and cortisone is normally $139. So we'd like you to take that 1 month challenge. What should people get if they're monitoring and they're looking at the Essentials book, they're taking into account the key issues that you raised there? Start to look at the food in there, and it's not vegan. It's it's a balanced food. From that perspective, detox. Sorry, we're allowed to argue. Anyway, we've got our detox sticks and our cortisone. At the end of the month, if they took their blood sugar at the start of the month, at the end of the month, how should they be feeling? What should be happening to their blood sugar, etc.? If they took the 1 month challenge.
Well, it's actually, so the 1 month challenge here, this will make you happy. The 1 month challenge includes, of course, the book with our recipe book, which is filled with meat recipes and not just vegan recipes. There's some great, yeah. There we go. That's for you, Grant. But no, I mean, realistically, what we do transformations. I mean, I live in Thailand here, where I do transformations every single day, and the thousands of clients who are taking cortisone and detox sticks on the 30-day challenge, everybody reports improved sleep, less stress, and of course a reduction in the stomach fat, because this is our fat that's controlled with cortisol, and just a general improved sense of well-being, better mood, better energy, and better focus, which is really important. As far as blood sugar goes, if you monitor your blood sugar while taking cortisone and detox sticks every day on a week-to-week basis, you're going to notice a reduction in the baseline of your fasting blood sugar. So when you wake up in the morning, what has changed overnight, your hormones becoming more optimized from taking cortisone and detox sticks every day, will allow you to wake up in the morning with more optimized blood sugar levels, which leads to better energy levels, which leads to less sugar cravings throughout the day, which is huge. And that's a game changer for most people. It's just not craving the sugar anymore hormonally, because the sugar levels are more balanced and more harmonious with the rest of the body functions. So it's just 30 days is everything you need to get results that you didn't really even believe you can get in 30 days, especially since there's no stimulants, there's no caffeine, nothing that's going to make you jittery. It's 100% like a communication between your body and your mind that now you're safe. There's no more, the stress is being taken care of. It's being handled. The organs are being supplied with all the nutrients and antioxidants they need. It's your one kit for just optimized health.
And look, it's absolutely essential. Anyone, if all the stuff you've heard today, it's absolutely crucial, and there's so much more to come. But this is the first deep dive for you, and you absolutely must. It's absolutely imperative to at least act on this now, because we've got a special offer of $119, which is less than $4 a day if you act in the next 24 hours and get a 1 month, go on the 30-day challenge, because you don't want to be seeing this again in like a year's time. You've put on that extra weight, because people generally put on 2 to 5 pounds a year. So you've got an extra stress going on. Act now to really take results, get back to the cause, and start to reinvigorate, recreate your cellular metabolism to really make a huge difference. Give us a month, and I can tell you from that month, at the end of the day, if you're not fully satisfied, we guarantee to give you the $119 back. But it's absolutely essential that you monitor your blood sugar, you go through all the criteria, and let's see what that 1 month can do for you. Now, final one, this is our one that we are introducing in the next month or two as we go through a big rebranding exercise. As I said before, I've been involved in acquiring an interest along with Dave. So he's the founder and I'm the chairman and major shareholder. I love this company so much I bought into it, as I'm sure many of you will once you go down this track, is we want to introduce the Transcenders Club. That way you're going to get a monthly pack each and every month. You're going to get training from Dave. So there's a lot of this, what we're doing is we're just touching, the top of the water at the moment. We want to go start to get deep dive, find out what happens with Alzheimer's, what happens with cancer, what happens with their different things. The beautiful thing about it, as we go in that deep dive, you're going to be able to tell because you'll be invested in looking at your blood sugar, your cortisol. So he'll be doing monthly webinars and training with you. On top of that, as I said before, I do a lot around the meditation experience, the mind, and really letting the conscious mind start to really bend down and looking at your belief systems and changing those to really start to take a lot of stress out of our life. So I'll be doing monthly visual performance sessions with you. For your if you're an executive, they've worked on thousands of other executives in Australia, particularly in the financial services area. So come along with that and we'll really start to build up that successful life. I mean, for me as well, you're going to have, we've got Dave and also his brother have done amazing training books. So you've got a lot of that sort of stuff. There's probably around about 150 videos we can give for you. You can train in your hotel rooms, training outside, and that's all going to come in a pretty simple package, which really is not going to be much more than the 1 month supply of detox sticks and cortisone. But it's for only people who are really invested. If you want to get involved in the Transcenders Club, first off, you're going to get the Essentials book. You're going to get your blood sugar monitor. That's absolutely essential. So that's our free gift to you. That's how important we believe to change the planet. 1 month supply, go on that 1 month cortisone and detox challenge, our essential combination challenge, our Transcend challenge for $119, but act now. If you're interested in going in the Transcenders Club, then just jump on and have a chat with Dave at transcendhealth.com. So that's Dave at transcendhealth.com, and just say, look, I'm really interested. And what we'll do is we'll certainly keep you up to date, but that's something that will be rolled out very shortly. Anyway, that's enough of me. You've heard enough. Every day I'm getting better, getting stronger, and I will post some before and after photos very shortly for you. You're going to find there's a huge difference. But make sure you give us your details, you get that book. And Dave, look, thanks a lot. Is there a parting word you'd like to give to everyone on this presentation right now?
Well, I'd just like to say for you also keep in mind you're a great example of a Transcend success story. You've experienced it firsthand. You're living it, and it's completely changed the way that you look at your stress levels and your blood sugar levels and your diet. And I just very excited for people to read the book and to learn more about your blood sugar and your cortisol and how the mind and the body connection works together and how you can get the most out of your day, out of your performance, and out of your life just from changing a few simple things in your life. life, which are the tricks that I've given to people over the past 16 years doing what I do. And I'm just excited that, the Transcend family is growing, and it's just a beautiful thing to see.
We'd love to have you on board, and it's important. Don't leave it too late. You can start to change your life right now. In fact, read the book. That'll get you straight on the way. Order your 1 month package, and before you know it, you're going to be listening to everything, all these great ideas. Anyway, it's Grant Abbott and Dave Cutchedale signing off from Transcend. Transcend yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a couple. I'm going to have to